Vladimir Putin has now publicly lost the support of someone who our next guest, Pussy Riot's founder Nadya Tolokonnikova, calls a grandmother of Russian pop music. Russian singer Alla Pugacheva criticized her country and asked to be added to Russia's foreign agent register in a post to her 3.3 million Instagram followers on Sunday. Her post comes after her husband, TV presenter and singer Maxim Galkin, was registered as a foreign agent after criticizing the war in Ukraine. In her post, she writes, "I am in solidarity with my husband, an honest, respectable, and genuine person who is a true and incorruptible patriot of Russia, who wishes his motherland prosperity, peaceful life, freedom of speech, and the end of the death of our guys for illusory goals that are turning our country into a pariah and worsening the lives of our citizens." Nadya Tolokonnikova participated in a freedom of expression roundtable with Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
We have a real stake in upholding these principles, in defending them against those who seek to dilute them, diminish them, eliminate them. Mostly, I'm anxious to hear from all of our colleagues who have, in various ways, shown extraordinary courage in upholding these principles.
Joining us now is Nadya Tolokonnikova, founding member of the Russian protest art and music collective Pussy Riot. Thank you very much for joining us again.
Happy to be here.
What did you tell Secretary Blinken?
We spoke about freedom of press and particularly freedom of press, the lack of freedom of press in Russia. I brought up Media Zona, which is a media outlet that I founded in 2014 when I got out of jail with my colleagues. And I spoke about the importance of independent media that cover the war, because a lot of Russian people, they're brainwashed. Mm-hmm. They don't really know about atrocities that Russian army, about genocides that Russian army makes in Ukraine. So we spoke about working with Russian people and informing the importance of informing them. Not through hands of the State of Department, but by helping Russian people who are actually standing against the war. I spoke with him about the importance of separating people in Russia, those who support Putin, those who support the war, and those people who are standing against the war and against Putin. Unfortunately, these days, as Alla Pugacheva said, our country is becoming a pariah, and it's really painful for me. I feel like I lost my identity. I feel like I lost my country. It was stolen, taken away from me. I feel responsibility that me and people like me who are standing against Putin now, we're going to be rebuilding our country and restoring step by step trust and respect to our country.
What do you think is going to happen to Alla now that she has come out in this way against Vladimir Putin? I mean, you did 2 years in prison. You had a longer sentence, but enough pressure built so that Putin let you out after 2 years. What happens to her?
She might face 15 years in jail because of the current law. I hope it's not going to happen with her because she is so big. You mentioned 3 million followers on Instagram, but her fame and her influence cannot be measured in Instagram followers, because most of the people who love her, respect her, and follow what she does, they're not even on Instagram. And what's specifically sad in this situation for Putin is that his biggest support base, who are people 50 years old and older, they are the biggest fan base of Alla Pugacheva. So it might signal something bigger that's happening right now in minds of Russian people, because Russians understand the standards of living are falling, that basically our country is being robbed from the future. And a lot of Russian people are questioning this war, and they're questioning the reason of this war. You know, Putin always changes his reasoning. In the beginning, it was denazification of Ukraine. Nobody understood what does it mean. Nobody believed that there are Nazis in Ukraine, and now he talks about protecting Russian-speaking people, but he bombs Kharkiv, he bombs Mariupol, and even people in Russia don't understand what's happening.
She seemed to put in this very tight statement everything, the whole case against Vladimir Putin. How much of that will get through? How much of that will Russian people hear?
Well, a lot of people saw the Instagram post because it went much further than just her Instagram post. It was reposted by literally everyone. But when it comes to Russian TV, it was ignored for the most part. And when they did report about that, they reported just about the first part, which says, I'm asking to put myself on the foreign agent list. And they didn't mention that she criticized the war in Ukraine, which is basically, they portrayed her as a crazy person who wants to be a foreign agent all of a sudden.
But she is the kind of person that if it could get through, she could change minds.
Absolutely, and I think it's happening. We see people on even some people who belong to positions in power, municipal deputies. They were calling for resignation of Putin.
Nadya Tolokonnikova, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and thank you for exemplifying for us the bravery it takes to fight for democracy like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And tonight's last word.